here we go again with, I didn't intend to make this video today. I made a lot more than I intended recently, but this was sort of a request yesterday. Somebody called me last night and asked that I address this issue. How many of you have heard about, there's something wrong with the chicken feed? It stopped my chickens from laying, and I mean, I've been hearing about this and I've kind of ignored it. And I started to watch somebody's video, and I came so close to commenting, and I thought, I don't do that. I'm backing out. I'm not going to do that because I just don't do that. What I do when I hear something that is absolutely nuts or whatever, it's to counteract bad information, I put out better information, good information. All I want to go when I see one of these titles is go, dude, what do you think they're putting in the feed? And how do you think that they're dividing up what they send to the commercial places as opposed to, do you think they make it at a different mill and they're in bags that are for consumers? They put different things in there because they don't want to stop the commercial flocks from laying, obviously, because that's what they're all about. That's what the government's all about. So what the heck do you think they're putting in the chicken feed? There's a lot. And, you know, and I addressed it in the community section, one of these things where this lady said, October, around Halloween, her chickens quit laying, and it was just so unusual, and they didn't lay for a long time, and she started feeding them goat feed, and they started laying again. I'm like, lady, the days got longer. Same thing happened to me. All my chickens quit laying around the same time, and they didn't lay for weeks. I had to buy eggs from the store. And let me tell you, I don't like to see white eggs in my fridge. It's just foreign to me. And I can't afford anything except the cheapest, which are like $5 a dozen. So, and guess what? Around December, they all started laying again. And guess what? Even now my almost 7-year-old Brahmas are starting to lay again, the ones that are left. And I didn't change my feed. I fed them the same feed I did in October. Days got longer. And I heard this person say, well, you know, I know the days are short and the days get longer and it's normal for them to slow down laying, but this was unusual. I'm thinking, how was it unusual? You do realize that chickens do slow down laying or stop laying when they molt, and as they get older, they take longer breaks even. I've had bantam, my Belgian Danvers, actually a couple of them quit laying for an entire year and then started producing eggs. What do you think they're putting in chicken feed to stop them, to literally halt their laying process? Do you know the only thing they could be putting, that can't, not put in the chicken feed, but the only thing that could halt their laying process is an actual hormone blocker? You realize this. When hens are internally laying, and somebody decides to take them to a vet, and the vet understands about avian species, so few do, or even will see a chicken, because heck, chickens are food animals, so why would we bother? They don't want to waste their time with a chicken. But when they do, and they understand what's going on through x-rays or whatever, and somebody wants to go to that expense, they can actually give her hormone blocking injections to stop the laying process. Give her hormones. You know, it's against federal law to put hormones in chicken feed. And dear God, you know, I love a good conspiracy theory as much as the next person, but there's nothing you can do to the chicken feed to stop their natural laying processes. Considering that some people, in their ignorance, literally just give their chickens corn, which has almost no nutrition, just corn alone, 8% protein, not 16 or 20, but just 8% protein, mostly fat. It's like candy. It's like cocaine for chickens. It's like candy. And that's all they feed them. And they still lay eggs. What do you think they're going to put in the chicken feed to stop this natural process on your hens? I would like the answer to that. Without breaking federal law, of course, I understand a lot of things, a lot of federal laws have been broken, but I don't believe this for 1 second. I think people are just getting all revved up and they're wanting to say what's the government doing to us? Well, they're doing a lot to us, but there's nothing they can do to the feed that's going to stop your hens from laying. Now, inbreeding can probably shorten the lifespan of their laying. I don't know. I've had hens, my Belgian Danvers, quite often, they lay a few eggs and quit. And they don't lay again the rest of their lives. Sometimes they'll wait a couple of years and then they'll lay an egg. That's the breed, or the line of the breed that I had. But darling, there's nothing they can do to the feed to make your hen stop laying. Either your flock is getting older and taking longer breaks, or something. Now, if you're getting your stuff from Tractor Supply, they're famous for having moldy feed. I will never buy. Now, the only time I would ever buy something from Tractor Supply is if it's in the little plastic bag, little chick starter, and it has a clear window where I can see that there's no clumps of green mold in there. I will never buy bagged feed from Tractor Supply. First of all, it's much more expensive than my county co-op. And second, I just don't like Tractor Supply for feed. But to put something in there to stop chickens laying, I'm getting a little bit sick of this ridiculous conspiracy theory. No, it's not true. And people are, and one very well-known creator, homesteading type creator, said something about, well, they've lowered the protein in the feed. Okay, well, did they change the formula of your feed? And how would you know they lowered the protein? It's on the bag, how much the protein content is of your feed. So the only way you would know they lowered the protein is to look at the protein content, because I'm sure you don't take it to a lab to do a gotcha. Oh, I got you. It says it's 16%, it's 15%. I bet you didn't do that. You read the protein on the bag. And sometimes they do change their feed formulations. I had that done to me. I fed the Super Layer 22, which is 22% protein from Tucker Milling, for, I don't know, 16, 17 years after I settled on a feed that I liked. And then a year and a half ago now, they changed the packaging and they called it Show Layer 22. What I didn't realize is they had taken out the animal protein and added just vegetable protein, made it more of a vegetarian feed. And when I caught that, I looked for a feed that still had the animal protein in it, because just like for human beings, vegan, vegetarian is not the best diet for them. Especially if they're pinned up and they do not have access to green forage, and they certainly don't in the wintertime anyway. So then they don't notify their customers every time they change something in the feed. So you need to read your labels from time to time. Make sure you're still getting what you think you're getting, especially if they have a package change. I thought it was just updating the packaging at the time, but it wasn't. So yes, they do. Now, they didn't lower the protein level. And the only way you're going to know what the protein level is in a feed is if you read the label. The label's all you've got to go by, unless you're going to independently take it to a lab and have them analyze the protein. And who's going to do that? Who's got the money to do that? Who knows where a lab is to analyze such things? I don't know. So, no, this breeder, don't believe it for a second. Now, if they change the formulation of your feed and didn't tell you, that's not unusual. You need to read the label from time to time. Make sure it's still the same feed that you remember that you liked feeding your chickens. And if not, change it. There's going to come a time, I believe, when we're not going to be able to find any feed with animal protein in it. And they stopped that when it was like, ostensibly, when all these things started changing, I think it started with Purina or something, years and years ago, when they started with vegetarian feeds. It's like, these are vegetarian fed chickens. No, they're not. Did you tell them they couldn't eat bugs? Because I guarantee you if they found one, they ate it. So that's not vegetarian. Automatically, they're not vegetarian anymore. Because they thought, oh, mad cow disease. Well, mad cow disease came from feeding cattle an unnatural feed, ground up cows. That's not natural food for cattle. Well, vegetarian is not a natural food for chickens either. But it's getting so you can't find better quality feed. And vegetarian is not a better quality feed. In fact, Purina feeds stink to high heaven. It's like chemicals to me. My Tucker Milling feed smells really clean and fresh. So it's not a conspiracy if your feed changed formulations and you weren't aware of it and you go, oh, they lowered the protein. Well, you wouldn't know that. And if you're saying that and it still says the same protein level on the bag, you're just going off the rails. You're going off the rails. You are guessing, you are theorizing, and you're probably full of chicken poop. Sorry, you have no way to know that they have lowered the protein if the protein level on the bag is still listed as the same protein it's always been. You don't know that. So I don't know, and the thing is, this thing has been circulating for a while. It's been circulating for a couple months now, I guess. No, they're not doing anything to the feed to stop your chickens from laying. They're not. They can't. There's nothing they could do to change the formulation to stop the chickens from laying. It's impossible. Unless they're given, somehow they're putting hormone blockers in there, and I don't see how they would do that. And it's actually illegal. So, and how they would have to separate commercial home feed that goes to people, individuals who raise chickens, from feed that goes to commercial people, and that had to be a different mill or something. I mean, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense at all. This whole, oh my God, something's wrong with the chicken feed. Well, if there's mold in it, something is wrong with your chicken feed. Maybe you need a different source. Tractor Supply. But anyway, it's raining now, and I'm going to go inside. But I just thought I would address this thing. No, I don't believe it for one hot minute that there is anything in the feed that they've done to stop your chickens laying. Maybe the breeds are getting to be hatchery birds are getting to be more substandard than normal. I don't know. Who knows? You know, when the genetics and inbreeding, they look worse and worse and worse, less like the breed they're supposed to be. And their longevity is in the toilet anyway with most hatchery stock. So, maybe they don't lay very long. Maybe they have actually been bred to not produce eggs very long. But that has nothing to do with the feed. Nothing. So there's my 2 cents on that subject. So, instead of commenting on other people's Chicken Little the Sky's falling videos, I'm just going to say, no, the sky's not falling as far as chicken feed goes. And maybe the best thing you can do is plant a patch of grass for them and let them out in it in the summer. As soon as you can, let them have some green forage if it's possible. And if you have to supervise them while they do it so they're not picked off by predators, and anything they eat is going to be a bonus. So I'm going to go. It's been 13 and a half minutes, and my 2 cents. Bye, y'all.